What's the story, folks? Welcome back to the Art Saddle podcast. It's me, your host, Keenan Flannery, and I'm here with my partner in crime, my banter buddy, my captain of the sea, Mr. Copper Kelly. What's the story, Copper?
How are you doing? How are you, Keenan? All good?
I'm okay, yeah. I'm okay, swinging in there.
That's it. Before we get on with this week's show, we'll do the old social roundup, get that over and done with. So if you want to follow us on the old socials, we're on Instagram, Facebook. Are we on Twitter? I don't know. I know
No.
Twitter's toxic. Dumb.
We'll get there.
So we're Art Saddle Podcast and on those places. And follow us and share and like and DM us. And if you want to send us an email, it's theartsaddle@gmail.com.
Please email us.
Huh?
Please email us.
That's it. So send us in some stories about any busking stories or topics of interest into music or anything you like to talk about at all. Email us in. But Keenan, we're joined by a special guest this week. Do you want to introduce him to our listeners?
I'm glad you said that. So our special guest is a part of the Also Collective, a dear friend of mine, and I'll say no more. Incredible producer, incredible musician, Mr. Fionn Griffin. Hello, Fionn. What's the story?
Hello, how are you getting on?
Sounds good.
And yourself?
I'm not too bad. Just going through the days and the weeks.
We know.
Taking it as it comes.
Well, for our listeners that wouldn't know who Mr. Fionn Griffin is, why don't you give them a little rundown about yourself?
So, I'm Fionn Griffin. I am a 21-year-old musician and producer from Wexford.
Hey.
I am studying music production in college, and with that, I'm trying to produce my own music and get it better, and hopefully also produce other people's music and make their music better.
Yes. That's the goal. Yeah, fair play.
And that's pretty much the basis of me. I'm quite a simple person.
Yeah. Yes.
We're gonna take that sentence just completely out of context, and we're just gonna gop it out. I'm just a simple person. Fionn Griffin, 2021. So, we usually start this, as we said to you, Fionn, and for the listeners at home, we usually start with a bit of news. There's fucking nothing going on this week. Nothing has happened out there. Right? It's boring, right? Sinead O'Connor hasn't done anything mental.
Did we actually say? Did I mention that she
retired
and then retired again? Did we talk about that? I can't even remember now. So she retired.
We said she retired and then she came back, and then she retired again. Yeah.
Okay. Is she not a nurse now?
No way, is she?
Is she?
I think she's a nurse in Bray.
She looks like a witch doctor.
Witch doctor.
She does. I'm not going to go any further. I feel like I'll say something in sentence. But she looks like a witch doctor. She's at the age now. She's kicking it. She's all wrinkles and shit. Witch doctor O'Connor.
But,
you have to back me up, Copper, because you can't leave me in dust here when I say this shit.
What's the? Yeah. I don't know. What is the crack with the news this week anyway? There's only the Kinmanum concert that's happened last weekend. Have you heard much about it yourself now?
I have a great story, and I was telling you before the show, and Fionn, you're gonna like this because this is just pure pinnacle of Irish culture. People are going mental about this festival. A lot of people are giving out. A lot of people are saying it's disgraceful, right? Because they have basically the main point of the argument is that why are festivals allowed to go on, but communions and confirmations are cancelled, which is just such an Irish argument. I love it, and it's ridiculous. We had a confirmation cancelled 3 times this year. It's like, oh my God, God doesn't wait.
Do you know what I'll say to that? Actually, it's not actually about the Kilmainham thing, but it's about the communions and confirmations.
Yeah.
It is actually quite ridiculous that they were cancelled, because most of the parents of those children are vaccinated. I'm sure that all of the priests are old enough to be vaccinated, and then kids are sort of all right. So the actual obviously the parties at home, whatever, that might be dangerous. But like the thing itself,
that's probably the dangerous part there.
Most of the people there are vaccinated for the most part, really.
Oh, well,
I'd
you'd be
imagine.
surprised now.
I'm not sure.
There are not a lot of people under 40 be vaccinated. Maybe not a lot of people under 50 be vaccinated.
Well, my big thing about it is that because there are like restrictions on the confirmation communions, less people are out in the church. So the government's like, well, we can't really let a lot of kids in the church with just priests. So we'll just cancel it.
Yeah,
you know,
can't leave them alone, sure.
Because there's no restrictions, so they can't move the priest from place to place because travel restrictions.
Restrictions.
I'm starting. I'm swinging. I don't know. I don't know if it's tiredness. I don't know if it's me chamomile tea, but I am swinging this week.
Oh Lord! But let's bring it back to Kilmainham. But I read an article on, I think it was The Independent, how it was good and bad and weird at the same time. It's like good that you could have a gig going, but there's a few weird things where you're in like certain blocked off paddocks. There was like certain groups in certain paddocks, and then there was only
6, was it?
There was like food providers in each of them, which was like one type of food provider in one paddock. Then on the other paddock there'd be another type of food. So I say there's like a chicken stall over here, but then there's a burger stall over the other place, but you can't get to the other one. You know, you can only have the one. So if you're like say if you're a vegetarian, all you could do is like eat chips and ketchup, and that was really it. That's all your options were. So
that's mad.
Yeah, and people were saying like they felt like sheep being corralled into pens, and just you sit there now and stay quiet.
I seen a few videos of it, and there was people like dancing with their family, and it's grand. They're like looking at them and pointing, but you can't do that for 3 fucking hours because it gets awkward. It's kind of like, well, that's the whole point of a festival. You chat to other people, so you
mix with.
I also think it's weird that there are like our test festivals. They're not testing them to like a large capacity, or they're not testing to see if we do antigen testings, if we do these set of like procedures, will it go ahead? Will we be able to do it as close to normal as we can? They just sort of did it like, if we separate everybody more than 2 meters apart, where there's no chance of them coming into contact with each other, will they all get COVID? And we sort of already know the answer to that is no.
Yeah. No.
Right. Yeah. Should have done what? Sorry, go on.
I was just like, how can we sit outside a restaurant where we're like just barely 2 meters away from another table, but when we're in a field outdoors, fully outdoors, no canopy, we can't, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say with that point, but
I know
I do think it would be worth them trying something more experimental, or more taking a bit of a more risk on, say, even a smaller thing, a smaller level of that, just actually taking the risk of, say, we put these 200 people together, get the quick antigen tests, maybe make it masked, and see how it works.
There was the Download Festival was actually run in England I think it was last weekend, and they did it, I think, the right way. They had the tests. You had to take your test before you go in the gate. But once you're in the gate, it's like there was no virus. There's like no social distancing. You can live life as normal. You can go around, hug, get close to other people, no problem. And it'll be interesting to see now how, if there's an uptake in cases after the festival. But it seemed to have gone off without a hitch, and people felt like they were back to normal. It was just like a normal music festival. And that was only last weekend in England. So it seems like we're far away from even trying anything like that. It's just kind of.
But as Fionn said, Fionn made a great point about that festival going, it's not viable. This is putting people in care. Like, this is not the way the future is going to be. Like, having festivals were really, really limited, unfinancially viable numbers, and going, no one got COVID. It's like, well, the whole point is it's put everyone in, do the antigen test, put everyone in, and go, did anything happen? No, because it's not viable. And that's what people are giving out about. They're doing these once-off shows and giving out that it's not viable. It's like, we fucking know it's not viable. you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
yeah.
I did see. Did you see the nightclub in Brussels
No.
where they're testing? There's a new Irish developed fast COVID test where it's as sort of, as far as we know, it's sort of more like the regular COVID test that we do now to determine whether or not somebody has COVID, but it only takes 27 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So you can test people, have them stand sort of outside the doors, but then once their test comes back negative, they can go in and we know they're safe.
Yeah.
We know
Makes
that
more
they're
sense.
not able to transmit the virus.
Yeah.
And it's just a normal nightclub.
Yeah.
And Germany is sort of similar where they are using the antigen testing, but it's still, like, obviously I'm not a doctor, but with the antigen testing, they know whether or not you've got enough of a virus to then pass it on to other people.
Yeah.
Because really,
how that works, yeah.
From what I've heard, again, not a medical
Not a
expert.
doctor.
I don't know what I'm talking
What you
about.
read on Twitter, just saying.
It's just what I've seen from TikTok. But like, you have to have quite a high amount of COVID to transmit it, to pass it on.
Yeah.
So the antigen testing seems to work. The concerts that were in Spain seemed to work. So I think we just take more risks.
Yeah, that's what I thought was silly about the Kilmainham one. They were testing them before they went in, and they wouldn't allow them if they were positive or anything. But still, when they did get in, they still had to separate everyone as if they were infected. You know, it's just like, what are you doing? What way are you doing at all? But there is another bit of news. I forgot to. I only remembered there a second ago. Up in the north, they did a bit of a protest, I think, last week. Musicians got together in front of Stormont and they all sang songs. I saw a picture or a video of singing Folsom Prison Blues. But I think within a day or two, live music was again allowed in Northern Ireland. So I think as of tomorrow, actually, the 5th of July, the North can have live music again, which is pretty good for them. Might take a trip up, huh?
People need to stand together. You know what I mean? It's like, it shows what like working class people can do. We all group together. Like there was a protest that went on not too long ago, in like about a week ago, where a load of musicians basically marched up to like the government building, sang songs, protested for live music. But like, I didn't even hear it. Like, I would have went, didn't hear it.
It was in Dublin.
No news coverage of it. Oh, you got all these like anti-vax and all these news coverage. They're all over stuff. Look at these horrible protesters with their anti-vaxxing. Well, none of them will cover this, like the music industry, and it was just, and like
a legit
they even put
kind of protest.
That's it, not nutballs, you know, fucking. But anyway, like you
Gemma
have
Doherty and all.
Oh, jeez, she's a character, man. But I just think, like, I think the priorities are kind of skewed in this country. The media, you know, and they fucking you see what they want you to see, so it's kind of like, I didn't hear of it.
I think that's.
You know, I would again.
I do think that's sort of everywhere is like that. There's nowhere where the media isn't biased in one way or another. So you've sort of just got to find multiple sources that talk about the news in different ways, that have different opinions, so you can sort of gather all the different views that are on topics and make your own from that.
Am I the only one as well? I don't really watch. I'm not watching the fucking news anymore because it's just, especially like RTE news since the start of the pandemic, because cases are up today and blah 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 blah. It's like panic. It's just every day is another fucking thing. It's just I switch off. It's like I'm all the better for it. I'm not fucking worrying about case numbers or any of this. I'm just kind of, there's still a virus. Okay, I'll move about my life as best I can. You know what I mean? So it's
My
kinda,
mother would watch
I-
it religiously. She
Yeah.
would watch the Irish news, and then she'd watch the English and the American news. I'm like, it's all the fucking same. It's all just cases, sadness, and it's like you're not doing your head any
Yeah.
favors.
just tying yourself up in knots.
That's just fucking consuming it. Just
Mm.
hitting a wall. It's like fuck that.
I
I'm
do
not-
think they talk about the case numbers a lot now, but I think we're at a stage with our vaccinations where it's no longer important to look at the case numbers. It's more important to look at the hospital numbers and the death
That's true.
numbers, because they're remaining stable / decreasing, despite the fact that cases are going up a bit, because the most vulnerable in society are being vaccinated and have been vaccinated.
Mm.
So we are on a good way of
Yeah.
protecting the people.
Yeah, we're getting there slowly, but hopefully, surely. See how we
Yeah.
go. But anyway, will we move off this fucking topic
Yeah.
of COVID?
We talk about it every week, man. No,
fucking COVID.
load of shite.
What is shite? But Fionn, tell us, you have a song coming out soon, I do believe. What's it called? What's it
I
called?
do.
What's it like?
It is called Don't Stop Me. It's my newest track. It is probably my most upbeat track, despite the fact that it's still very depressing. If you don't listen to the lyrics, it's a very happy song and it's a great song. If you listen to the lyrics, it might not be. But it's the sort of... So I find it hard to describe what my music is, because it's sort of influenced from a lot of different things. I'm sort of stuck on the term indie pop,
Pop.
where it's like
That's pretty good.
yeah, it's like an amalgamation of indie pop and sort of hip hop, all sort of smashed
I like
together
that. Indie pop pop.
Pop.
to create this thing.
Nice.
I
Alright,
don't
that's
know.
gonna
If
be
somebody else
the
has a
name of the
better
episode,
term, I'd
indie
love
pop.
to hear it. But yeah, that's coming out on Friday. I worked on it a lot this year because I actually used it as part of my third year project for college. So the viability of creating music inside your bedroom. And I will be also releasing an EP in the coming month.
So how many
Hell yeah.
songs is an EP, do you think? Is it 4 or 5? How many songs are you thinking of putting on it?
This one is 4, but realistically, an EP shouldn't be any longer than 20 minutes. So if you've got 8 songs that are all a minute long, they can still technically be an EP. But this one is 4 tracks, and it's all quite different as well, because I don't really like putting myself too much into a box. I think labels are great to describe individual moments or different things, but I think once you force yourself into this little box, you then other people are keeping you in that, and when you want to do something else, it's harder to break through the box. I'm lost in my own analogy here.
I think that suits really well with nowadays, because in the 80s and shit and all, back when music when you keep going back in music, when there was no social media and stuff, you could have an image of an artist, and then 20 years later you could still have this image in your head, and it's hard. There's not a lot. There was no way to convey a continuous change in an artist kind of ego or image or anything like that. But with social media, I think we were talking about 2 episodes ago, Copper. We were talking about the way you put up a track and your feed completely changes. It changes. Maybe it goes real dark, real eerie colors, and then your next song could be happy, and in your feed, so you're able to be it's almost beneficial not to just ram yourself into one genre.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks for
Yeah, and
agreeing with me, Copper.
I think we all. I think in the modern age, we've got such easy access to any music we want at any time. I think most people do enjoy a bunch of different genres. So I grew up listening to metal and rock. Then I found hip hop and
You're getting
really
copper
into
excited,
that,
yeah.
and doing folk, and then like slowly finding out that not all pop is bad. It's not all just formulas, and it's a lot of it is formulas, but most music is formulaic anyway.
It is.
You just are using a different formula. But no, I think we're all doing that. We all just like love so many different things. So why would we only stick to one of the things we love? Why can't we do them all at the same time?
Yeah, we were talking about this last week actually, Keen, where how different genres would influence you as a musician. Even say I'm playing country music, but I'm influenced by metal and reggae and whatever else. But it's still, it kind of
and it all links in. There's always some element, whether it's really apparent or not. There's all you once you really look into your own music, you go, holy shit, I didn't even realize that I took a hint there.
Yeah, exactly. And you do it subconsciously as well. If you have enough influences, you kind of do it subconsciously. And you wouldn't even know it, but it's kind of your sound. It's part of your sound, and you wouldn't even know it until someone points it out to you, almost.
I speaking on that, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Fionn, and it's interesting that we led on to this topic of like using different genres and having a big influx of different sounds influence your sound, and of that's really how you make a distinctive, unique artist. And my thing, for anyone that's at home that doesn't know, like most of my music has been like co-produced by Fionn, and he's always been involved in my projects and stuff. But he's also a big like hip hop kind of almost sometimes infused with like a lot of beat, kind of rap heavy beat, and a lot of bedroom pop as well. And my thing was, is there any creative approaches that you have to change depending on what genre? Do you have to approach, or do you have to writing folk the way you would write folk? Would you change the way you creatively approach it? Or
yeah, I think it's important to approach things differently, because if you're going into producing a folk song, you can't use the same tricks that you use when you're producing a beat for hip hop, because you're not using electronic drum kits, you're not really using synthesizers. So really, at its basic form, all of folk starts with a main harmonic instrument and a voice. And that's sort of how all of my folk, when I'm writing folk, that's how it all starts. It starts with a chord progression, or it starts with a picked melody on a guitar. And that's sort of the way it goes when I write folk, and then I add vocals on and add the other layers. Whereas with hip hop, sometimes I have an entire instrumental before there's any vocals, or sometimes it's literally just beatboxing and vocal melody ideas, which the beat then goes around. So I think it's important to be flexible with how you make music. So if you say, this is how I write music, you're going to eventually stagnate. You're going to keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. And either your music's going to be repetitive, or you're not going to be able to do anything. And that's really important. Like, it's important to try different things, to do different things.
Yeah.
But I think, again, on that topic, as you said, I help co-produce stuff. Obviously, you are also a great producer yourself. Like, you know how to make yourself sound the way you want. But when
I'll send you that money later, Fionn. Send you that money later.
Yeah, just revolute it to me there, Keen. But
go for revolute by any chance.
Like, when I'm working with you, my opinion doesn't matter, and I let my brain out of it. So when I'm working with you, I'm like, what is Keen and Flannery doing here? What does Keen and Flannery want to do? And then how do I think that could be improved? And I'll say that, and oftentimes I suggest something to you and you don't love the idea, and I sort of push. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then it's important because at the end of the day, when I'm working with somebody else, I want them to be happy with the result. It doesn't matter if I'm producing. It doesn't matter whether the finished song is something that where I agree with every decision 100%, but it's very important that it is exactly what you want it to be, and it's exactly sounds how you want it to sound. Because at the end of the day, it's your song, and you're the one that is in control of that creativity, and it's your little baby.
My most vivid memory of working with you, and I think we've talked about this tons of times, and I think, Copper, you can take this on as well, because we had a lecturer in college called Skip. He was the principal of the college.
Prawn cocktail all the time, was it?
What?
Smelled like prawn cocktail.
No, that's
the greasy old fella he was.
He didn't have the S at the end of it.
He didn't have to say. He wasn't.
He was just an individual. He
didn't have a list.
Lovely
Skips. But he would come into lectures and he would just stand there for 3 hours and just talk. He wouldn't even have a planned lecture. He'd just talk about his experiences in the industry. But I learned so much from him. And one of the main things that I remember when we started working on my project with Fionn, one of Skip said was, the first idea as a producer has to be fucking amazing. The first idea you throw out there has to be, the artist has to go, that's great. Because if they don't, you put them on the back heel and they don't really trust any ideas you throw their way, and then you're no longer really producing. You're almost trying to, you're kind of tiptoeing, and you don't want to say something in case you upset them. And as an artist, when I picked that up, I was unconsciously, I was the first advice Fionn gives me on a track, I'm just going to say yes to, regardless of what it is. And I don't know if you remember, but it was adding the second guitar to the Eileen track, and I was like, when we sat down in IDT and you listened, you were like, I think a second guitar there, and I was like, and then I was like, no, that's a good idea, because I think I was like, oh no, I don't play two guitars at the same time, and then when I add it sounds fucking sick, you know what I mean? So
I think another thing was track selection. So we were looking back well before COVID was even a concept on our mind. We sat down and were picking songs that we were going to produce and doing that, and we were narrowing it down to the 6 songs we'd focus on. No, to the 5 songs we'd focus on. We were focusing on 5 songs, and we picked it down, and Keenan chose his 5 songs, and there was this other song that was beautiful. It was just a beautiful, beautiful song. And I said, you can't let that go. You have to do it. And Keenan was like, but I don't know which of my other babies I should let go. And I'm like, none of them. We can do 6 songs. We will do 6 songs. And that was sort of... Yeah,
I fucking forgot about that. That was the first. And I was like, I reacted, but and you were like, let's do 6. And I was like, okay, let's do fucking 6 then.
I also made you change the lyrics.
You did, yeah, you did. I remember that. But
that's just the way of getting the co-writing credit, so you get some royalties. That's the trick there. You do.
That's the 5% royalties slipping in there.
Oh no, Trisha paid us.
Trisha paid us.
5%. 5%. Disney tickets, VIP. I don't know. I cover my nose.
I don't know.
That's what I'm doing. I can do impressions. Hello, my name is Barack Obama. I can't do impressions. I just that's just my general impression.
Just hold your nose and say stuff.
Yeah, that's just, they all sound the same, I don't know. Fucking whatever, yeah.
Who all sounded the same, Keenan?
Whoa, calm down now. Don't put me out there. I said nothing.
Chill the beans.
Maybe you were saying all of your impressions sound the same.
Man, why are you trying to cancel me and then all of a sudden defend me like Mr. Bipolar Twitter over here, just fucking throwing me under the bus and then dragging me out of the bus again.
Because I need to defend you. No, I need to call you out, but then I need to let everybody else know that you're just an idiot.
All right, guys, that's the show.
Thanks for joining us. But here, Fionn, we actually talked about this topic there a few weeks ago. It was Autotune and what we kind of thought about it.
Yes.
Is it a kind of what was it? Is it a tool or is it a curse on the scene? You know, music in general. What do you think? Because I know you use a lot of it now yourself. What are your thoughts?
Back in my days of being a metalhead, Autotune was the devil.
There is no
was
auto-tune
the curse
in
on
metal.
music. That's the thing. So Autotune was this thing that was ruining music. There's no good music because there's Autotune. Yeah. And then as I started like getting more and more into hip hop, I realized most of these artists aren't trying to sound natural.
Exactly.
They're using it as a creative effect. And I think the sound that we know as Autotune is the creative effect. And I think that's great and I love it. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be a singer without Autotune. Because I struggle to keep in pitch. Especially when I'm trying to hit in the high notes. I can't do the high notes on pitch.
Okay.
But I think it is a great creative tool. And I do think it gets hated on a little too much. And I think most people that hate on Autotune don't actually understand what it does.
There's that too. Yeah.
It pitch corrects. So it just like puts the vocalist, it can make a vocalist either have the vocal effect, or if you're pitch correcting, like you're using Melodyne, you're just like slightly changing the pitch of the notes so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Those people can still sing. Like, it doesn't change the sound of your voice. It doesn't turn a bad vocalist to a good vocalist. It turns a great vocalist to an even greater sounding thing.
It polishes. It kind of just tightens the screws on.
That's it.
Performance.
It polishes it. Yeah. And I think like Josh Groban is somebody that's like super, super, super against any form of autotune and pitch correction because, as they say, it's cheating. But is it? Like,
who makes the rules?
Who makes the rules?
Like, you're only cheating if everybody isn't doing it, and everybody is doing it. So how is everybody cheating when it's just the industry standard? And I do think it does give this unrealistic expectation on vocalists.
Yeah.
I think people expect artists to sound exactly like they do on the records live. And that's just, even in the days when autotune wasn't a thing, that's unrealistic. Because you have
that depends on the singer
8 hours in a studio. I do agree. Like, obviously, like David Bowie, he only ever did each vocal take once. He wouldn't do any other takes. But a lot of people, they had 8 hours in the studio to record their vocals. So, like, most people aren't going to be able to replicate that live anyway. They're not going to get that perfect vocal take. But perfection isn't what we're after in the live performance.
Yeah.
But it is something that's important, in my opinion, on the studio track, because it, for me, with the studio recorded music, it's about how do I make this track the best that it can be.
Yeah. Pleasing to the ears as possible.
Yeah, and oftentimes pitch correction is a way to do that. So yeah, I'm a big pro autotune.
I know. I'm the same. I'm pro. I'm pro for it as well. Like, for instance, I think I mentioned before that on my first album, I didn't use any at all, but I probably could have in a few spots. Like, a few notes were like, oh, that's a bit flat. I could have just pushed it up one semitone and, be lovely. But I would see, like, using it as a vocal effect, like what you're doing, or like, say, what T-Pain is doing, that's really cool. I think it's really artistic and creative. but it is. I think it gets to the point where it's overdone. Where I heard suppose there's some country singles came out recently, and the auto-tune is so clear. It's so like I can hear the warble, and it's absolutely
I think
clear as day, and it's like getting a performance that's probably flat as hell and putting it into the right key. But then like the singer will be marketed themselves as, you know, a full-on singer that can reach these notes. But then if you put a microphone in front of them and got them to sing it live, it'd be absolutely nothing like the record. And it's a bit different from saying, you know, pulling off a consistent performance in studio compared to live. But if they didn't pull off the performance in the studio in the first place, they'll never be able to do it live.
Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, well, that's... Yeah. And it was a conversation that I was having with my mentor in college this year. There's one of the songs on the EP that my intention was to sing this really soft singing with perfect pitch, just naturally. And I realized that for the length of time that I had to hold the notes, I couldn't stay as on pitch as I'd like.
Yeah.
And I would need to pitch correct it to the stage you're talking about, where you can hear the warble. And at that stage, you're in the in-between. You're not using it to just slightly adjust your vocals. You're not using it as a creative effect. You're in this middle ground that everybody hates. You're just somebody that is trying to make it sound like they can sing.
Exactly. You're covering up a kind of a crappy performance.
That's where you need to you need to either dial it back or you need to just go hell for it. I went for it.
Yeah.
And I think
or like change the key
I think
of the
that's
song
the important thing.
More suitable for the singer as well.
Another important thing is that each genre has its own tuning tolerances. Folk is a genre that really lends itself to like slightly out of tune singing.
Yeah.
Not like you're not singing off key and you're not, but like you've got like a 5 to 10 like cent difference that you're allowed to go with, where it still sounds good and it still sounds the way it's supposed to. But each genre has their own tolerances and has their own customs. So if you're there with a really crisp pop vocal over this like old-timey country song, those things don't gel. Well, now what you can do is you could do the Bon Iver thing where you're doing a real rough sort of like cabin in the woods acoustic guitar, but then you're adding this like luscious vocoders, luscious auto-tune, where it's this like massive creative effect over these like very natural instruments, which does have this cool sort of tone to it. But when you're in that middle ground, when you're trying to convince people that you can sing,
that's what I don't. That's what I don't like.
When you clearly can't sing on pitch, like you might have a lovely tone to your voice, but you like if you're not good enough of a singer to sing naturally, then you should just go for the creative effect. Pretend that it's meant to sound like that, but don't go in that middle ground. And that's where like 2008 pop had, and like 2000, like maybe even like as old, like the older Britney stuff was like very badly auto-tuned, despite the fact that she is a good singer. And it's a lot of artists then, they're like, artists are in control of their auto-tune for the most part.
Yeah, they're not.
Now they can ask the engineer to turn it up more if they want, but for the most part, especially with pop, like we've seen with all the like Britney stuff that's going on over the last however many weeks, she had no control over any of the choices made on her creative music and that sort of stuff. So like that era of pop had this really badly auto-tuned music where it was like so obvious that it was a fake voice, but it wasn't like Cher.
Yeah.
It wasn't like T-Pain. It was just like fake.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there a phenomenon?
you like the raw sound, especially your kind of sound. It's like raw and from the heart.
Well, like, I think it's really personal. It's personal preference, and I do believe I'm 100% with you. Like, it is, at the end of the day, there's so much new technology out there and loads of new plugins and really creative shit. And it's like, why the fuck not take advantage of it? Fuck this cheating lack. It's like, who makes the rules? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, Bob Dylan has a song called We All Gotta Serve Somebody. And if you just serve yourself and go, well, I don't think it's cheating, I think it's really creative, who gives a shit? Like, I have a few songs like that, like, you'll hear my voice crack, or I'll just completely just miss a note, just fucking just, but I've done it live, so I'm like, fuck it, it's going out. And, like, I think, like, really, my music being really based on storytelling, like, I think it works. Other people could be like, no, fix that. But, like, to me, I'm, like, pretty happy with it. I'm going, like, I like the, like, imperfection in it. But one thing that popped into my head we're talking about, like, country artists that are, like, very obviously cannot sing, but they make themselves. There's a phenomenon now that I view it as, like, the online artist. Like, nowadays, you can be a musician and never do a live show.
Yeah,
like, which is like, it's like it's kind of a really crazy idea. Like, but there's, like, there's fucking TikTokers out there. It's like, do you ever listen to Addison Rae?
Don't think so.
You know Addison Rae?
I don't listen to her.
She has, like, fucking
Of course I don't. The music is just, like, categorically bad.
Oh.
I think it's catchy. She has one, Sugar Rush, Sugar Rush. It's kind of typical bedroom pop stuff. But she's been doing music for, like, I think she's had, like, 3-4 years or something. She's just writing it. And then TikTok came around. She's got really lucky and she just blew up on TikTok. She's going on a tour. She got booked to go on a tour, like, as a support act with this, like, other big indie pop band. But, like, people like that make their start online, like, I think that concept, I'm 22 and that's where my brain starts to feel like I'm out of touch, because I'm like, that concept of, like, you can be an artist but never, like, have to do a show. It's like, that's kind of mental. You know what I mean? That shows, like, the effect fucking social media has on shit. Yeah. So you probably have these that auto-tune the hell out of themselves, and maybe they do a live show, they do a video, but the video is probably edited for, like, 6-7 hours, and everything's finished, everything's perfect, and then they go and they rack up to Bleeding the International bar, and they hop on the fucking bootleg shitey stage, and they go, oh yeah, we don't have a PA because it was robbed, or something typical that happens in them places. Here's a guitar. It's missing a couple of strings, but you'd be grand. You know, you're typical. And we'd get up and we'd play and probably butcher it because we're out of, oh shit, I was expecting this or that or that. But you put the soul in. But if you go up and, like, these people that have this, like, crystal kind of sound, truly just, like, compressed from coal into a beautiful shaped diamond, you know what I mean? Ugh, here I am. It's like, well, no, because, and I'm not shitting on them, fucking do what you want, go mad. But I don't know if that's my brain. I feel like if you use it to make yourself sound or look or be perceived as something else, like, you're always gonna get caught out. You know what I mean?
I will say on that topic, I don't know. I sort of half zoned out there for a bit, but on, like,
he was thinking of Addison Rae. He was like,
I was trying to find out online whether she started with music. I was looking up whether she started with music, and I think she just started dancing. I think she was just somebody that danced, and then a record label came up to her and was like, "Do you want to make a song?" And she did. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but that's the Bella Porch one is someone that was actually actively trying to do music. Nobody was listening, so she started dancing, then came out with a song. And that's actually a bit of a banger. I like it. But back to the auto-tune
that's what we
thing.
may start doing do a few dancing TikToks and lip syncing and stuff, and then get famous, and then put our songs out.
Sounds like a plan. I don't think anyone on the planet wants to watch us dance.
You'll be surprised. You never know.
I reckon you have some tap shoes.
You see all
Tap
sorts
dancing.
of TikTok.
But I suppose, like, what I was saying is that, like, Autotune is something that is very much possible and done live on stage.
Yeah.
It's not this studio thing anymore.
Travis
like, you can
Scott
do it
does
live.
When he sings, he has it like an auto tune on his voice.
It's like, it's literally, it's plugin Autotune live. It is its own plugin, and it works not as well as it sounds on the like studio stuff, but it works. And I think when you're using pitch correction in your music, it's important to find out how to translate to the real world. And I think that's something that's important for all artists. How are you going to translate your studio recordings to the live setting? So if you're even like, say you're a solo musician that is making songs, but you play guitar and you sing, but your music also has a bass, another guitarist, drums, and all these other elements. Well, are you going to go live and only use your guitar, or are you going to hire musicians to do it with you? Are you just going to play backing tracks that you then play along to? So it's like every artist needs to figure out how they're going to translate their music to the live set.
Yeah, it's true.
I agree with you on the second point, but when you were saying about the first thing of like, you can like it's Autotune plugins and all, I think in my head I just envisioned like the way that the typical grind that we would have, like, I would have spent like, and I still do spend nights in and out of open mics, just really bad setup, mics getting robbed. Do you know what I mean? You have to, you fucking just mad things. And I feel like maybe it's COVID, maybe that's giving way. Everyone's at home. This open mic scene and this walking up the sweat, alcohol dripping ladder of late night shows is kind of missing. But I'm just like, if you walked into a pub, Joe, imagine walking into the International Bar with like a load of pedals. If Fionn would know, like, unless there's a setup, and sometimes there fucking isn't, because people rob shit or shit goes missing, and you're like, well, I can't. So I think the second point actually answers it in terms of knowing, like as simple as I wrote this song with a capo on 3. Now I'm going to do it with no capo because I actually cannot do it like the way I recorded, and singing it different. You see a lot of folk artists do. Do you know what I mean? When they get older, they can't do what they used to do, so they change the melodies. They still sing it, but or maybe they'll get the crowd to sing if they're really famous, and the crowd will sing certain bits. Like when Kanye sang Bohemian Rhapsody, just got the crowd to sing because he couldn't not a fucking what. Yeah. But
well, I think to add to that point as well, a lot of people that are using Autotune in their music have no intention of going to open mics. So they're able to market themselves well enough, or they've got a team that can market themselves well enough that they are able to like book themselves into gigs. Maybe sort of like an open mic format, but they're able to get gigs enough that they know that they can rock up with their own microphone and their own Autotune box, because you can buy this box. It's a TC Helicon Autotune thing. So you've got your mic, you've got your Autotune, you just need them to plug their mic cable into it. And you can go away and do your music with your backing track. So that's the thing. And so it is possible to do the Autotune live. Now, like, if you're going to, like, you wouldn't be let into the International Bar if you're there with your Autotune, and it wouldn't be received well if you brought your Autotune to a lot of those open mics, because the people there can be. This is not a jab at the people that go to the international bar or any of that. Do not come for me.
You know what I mess with them, man. I'm scared.
There tends to be, in like the open mic scene in general, there can be a snobbishness towards, is it real? Is it the way it's meant to be done? Is it music? Is it real music? And that's where a lot of them hate Autotune and hate that. So like you wouldn't be well received there anyway, so there'd be no point in doing it. That's not your audience. Like there'd be no point in a hip-hop artist going to... There'd be no point in Travis Scott going to the international bar. Because they might like him, but the majority of the crowd isn't there for that. They're there for the dude with the guitar that sings these beautiful songs. And that's what they're there for.
Yeah. I'm gonna stand up in the ring with you and just defend, because no, you're right, but it's also the quote, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. I think if people have a true love for art and music, they can see past their own bias and their own genre likenesses and their own kind of views and go, well, I don't listen to this type of music, but I respect the creative flow. But it's usually like, you'll see there's always one or two just drunk, loud cunts, usually has a beer belly, maybe he hasn't washed his hair in a couple of months, and he's like, and he's shouting, and you're like, the room is against him, no one's in agreement with him, but he's so loud, I think, but you just have to weasel them out, you know what I mean? Pop them over here. But I think you're right. Now there is an element of that. But the more internet, like, the more we progress technologically, the more social media kind of progresses, and our generation and the generation after us, and when we get old, we'll probably be the grumpy fucker in the bar, but we might have a bit more, we're not going to be sitting there, this doesn't sound like the Rolling Stones. We're going to have a bit more of appreciation for art as a whole, instead of like, you'll see people that be sitting there, and the minute a poet gets up, everyone goes, here's someone that can't play an instrument, it's like, fucking, maybe I'm talking shit, but not.
Yeah, like, I think it's important to, like, for me to clarify that, like, I think there, like, obviously, I was sort of painting the whole scene with a bit of a broad brush there. When that's not, like, obviously there's people there's people that can appreciate the art, but I do think there's a time and a place to do certain genres and certain things, and there's a crowd, like, your crowd, and you know where it's not your crowd.
Well, at the end
and maybe if I rocked up to some open mic night with my microphone and my Autotune box, I'd be different and noticed, and you might get a bit of a buzz around you because you're doing something different. Or it could be a case of everybody just hates you, and that's something that's impossible to know because it's not something that gets done a huge amount.
Well, at the end of the day, Fionn, it all just boils down to, like, you're just a simple man. That's really...
I'm just a simple man.
Tell me, we were chatting a bit about what to talk to you about, because you and me working together, that infusion of like folk and like hip hop, and the reason we kind of started the Old Soul Collective was based on what I seen in the Off Key Collective, the lads down in Drogheda. I believe a few of them are in Laytown now, but he always right. But they're around there, and they were a collective of hip hop heads, but they would do a lot of work with singer songwriters. And is this like new? Like, I think it's a new genre where it's like folk singer songwriters and rappers, hip hop artists, which, to generalize, both of them are very heavy storytellers. and they're becoming this little fusion dance of like. Give me an abbreviation, Fionn. You're indie.
I don't know. I'm just going to say Ed Sheeran has been doing this since 2009.
Yeah, but fucking he used too much Autotune.
Actually, I don't know when Ed Sheeran came out first. It probably wasn't
No,
2009.
that Orange
2011
album was like in 2008,
Plus,
I think, or 9.
I don't know.
I think you're right.
That I brought that off point quite a lot there.
What do you think of the what's your view of now? Maybe what's the coming trends of like the Irish hip hop scene?
See, I don't know. Bit of like music news that you wouldn't know. There's a hip hop label in Ireland called Trusted Entertainment.
Did you say K-pop?
And it's no hip hop.
There's a K-pop label in Ireland.
No, I don't think Ireland.
He's dreaming about K-pop artists.
I don't know if Ireland really has a booming K-pop scene.
I think so.
There might be an artist or two that's K-pop, but like
you don't know what
the important part of K-pop is the important part to like K-pop is to be Korean.
Yeah, that would be a part of it.
I don't know how many Korean Irish pop artists that do K-pop
Irish part of it.
in Ireland.
Are you K-pop? Are you K-pop? Are you
I'm
Korean?
going back on.
Copper, are you Korean?
Am I Korean?
Well, no, Copper.
Me?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm Irish as they come.
Okay, we're going no further on that point.
Right, I'll circle back to Irish hip hop label, Trusted Entertainment. It's owned by a man called Solo, and they recently signed a deal with Atlantic Records.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So there's now this Irish hip hop label that has connections to Atlantic Records. So I think that's an area that's definitely there's going to be a bit of a boom to it, because it means that Irish hip hop is getting funding, and music is this capitalist sport. You can't do anything without funding unless you're able to randomly blow on the internet, but that doesn't happen.
It happens on
very
OnlyFans,
often.
I guess, is it?
Like, of the people that are musicians, it doesn't like blow up anything. So I think that there is going to be, it's going to be like brought into the light a bit more.
Keenan's away.
But I don't know.
They get you on that one, Keenan.
It's your son, then. It's the way he says it. Could you say it in like a really like sarcastic but very calm tone? You go, like OnlyFans, and you just stop, and it sets me off, man. Sorry if you want to interrupt. This is why we only do this once a week. I can't handle anymore.
But yeah, I was just saying that, like, I think with the added funding and the added just contacts that Atlantic Records can give to them, I think it'll really help.
Yeah,
improve the Irish scene.
Boost.
Because the minute, like we've got great artists like Kojak, who just released an album. He's great. But then we've got Versatile, and like Versatile are horrible people. Like, there is so many allegations against them for different stuff of like being racist. Yeah. Like, there's a bunch of allegations against them for being racist. And of the two groups that I just named, both of them are white. So it does seem that like the white Irish hip hop artists are the ones that are gaining attention.
Yeah. They're likely to get the funding,
so it's
and
like,
not the black ones.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, Trusted Entertainment, from what I've seen, it's a predominantly black roster, or at least the main runners in that label are Black Irish.
That's good to see it.
Or Black and Irish. I'm not sure exactly what the correct terminology is.
Yeah.
But no, like, I think it's important to, like, because like that's what hip hop comes from. It comes from America. It comes from like Black Americans mixing all their like influences together, and I feel like I'm digging myself into a hole
Not
here.
at all.
No,
You
speak
don't
with
think yet,
confidence.
we already know.
Speak with courage.
But that's the thing. I think it's important for there to be more of a scene in Ireland, and it's important for the right people. That's what I'm trying to say. It's important for the right people to be the head of that movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'll leave that conversation.
And if you ever say anything that gets you in trouble, just as I say, just say, what are you?
I'm a simple
He's a
man.
simple man.
I'm just a country boy. I don't know anything about anything. I know nothing about nothing.
I know nothing about nothing, you say.
I'm changing the title of the episode. It's I'm a Simple Man.
I here's another thing I just thought to ask you. Me and Copper don't talk about it, and I think we'll have to sit down and have a good chat about it. But we chat about our music.
We don't talk about our feelings. Is that what
We
it
don't
is?
talk about our feelings. We suppress it, push it down. Alcohol, drugs. Get it away. What was that quote from? It was like Marlon Hanson. He's like that really awkward comedian. He's like, alcoholism is the only disease that we get to laugh at, or something like that. It was like some joke. I can't.
Yeah.
But
he's not an alcoholic. He's a devil for the drink. So he is.
he's a devil for the
That's actually, I'm going to bring it out. The way Irish people talk about problems is ridiculous. So it's like they're not alcoholics. They're a bit fond of the drink. They're not depressed. They're just a bit down.
No,
They weren't incredibly abusive to their wife. They were a bit heavy-handed.
My favorite it just reminds me of how Irish we are and our responses. I don't know if you remember, it was like one of the season ends of Mrs. Brown, like at the start, and like Rory was coming out to be gay, and he wanted to tell Mrs. Brown, and he comes in, he goes, "Mammy, I'm gay," and she just turns and goes, "I'm happy too," and then he walks off. And then he's it's brilliant. But yeah,
that's a great show. I actually love that. I remember when I first seen it, I didn't know what it was, didn't get the humor at all. It took me a few years to actually kind of grasp what the kind of humor it was, and then when I got it, it's like, Jesus, this is actually incredible funny.
It's so funny. It's such a good show.
That's like what she says. What's she say when someone's talking to her and she just wants to tell them to go fuck themselves, and she goes, "That's nice. That's nice.
That's nice. That's nice." Yeah, that's like the Christmas. You watch that at Christmas, and I've started watching. What was the two Limerick lads?
Rubber Bandits?
No, sorry, it's not the two Limerick lads.
Oh, the Johnnies.
Young Offenders?
Young Offenders.
Cork?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really
that's
Cork
great.
lads,
That
yeah.
is
They have a
brilliant.
Christmas. They started doing like Christmas, like
Yeah, I saw that. It
special.
was all like there was like almost a riot, and everyone came together and it's all happy and stuff. It's
Yeah.
strange.
Oh,
That was
yeah, I did
strange.
see that. And wasn't like Colin Farrell in it or something?
Was he?
Or some like
Some
big
big
enough actor.
actors, actor. Can't speak. But I'm swinging off. I wanted to ask you, and I'll pass it around to you as well, Copper. What's your 5-year plan as an artist? Right? What you?
Jesus,
Because
asking
I know it's a big,
questions.
and it's the
See-
worst question to ask at like heading to the end. But I was thinking about it today because obviously I'm like, I have these plans, but I don't think I'd ever sit down and write a 5-year plan. You know, some people like sit down and write what you want, manifest it, and like I try, but I don't. I'm trying not to think that far ahead. I'm trying to do the moment, but like, what are you thinking in terms of your like, Sean, for example, your view of how the hip hop scene is going and the way you're going with your music? What's happening for Mr. Fionn Griffin?
I think, judging by how my music sounds now, I feel like I won't be in the hip hop scene because I don't think I'm in it now, and that's not. I'm not trying to be Post Malone here, where I'm winning rap awards and anything like that. Like, I'm definitely not a rapper. I'm a singer, and I'm not good at it. Like, I'm not good at rapping. I can't do, like, I wear my influences very much.
Way to sell
like,
yourself, Fionn.
No, but what I'm saying
Listen
is
to
that,
my
like,
music, but I'm crap. I know.
what I'm trying to say is that, like, although I've got like heavy hip hop influences, my music isn't hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's still very much indie and pop.
Yeah.
And
pop,
it's white boy music.
White boy music.
Well, it's like having reggae like influence. Like we were talking about this last week about how if like you might have a bounce to your beat or to your folk song, and you realize actually that like kind of really rhythmic bounce probably stems from maybe your influence in, like, you know, maybe hip hop or maybe reggae or ska or something that is very heavily on the beat. You know, maybe something might be offbeat, and you're like, "Ooh, where did I think of that?" And you think back to what you've listened to as your child. So as a child, but what? So you're
yeah. So I think I like that's what I'm saying. Like I'd like to be involved in the hip hop scene. I'll say that. Like, I'd like to be able to work with artists and sort of more on behind the scenes. Like, maybe do a bit of producing. Love to do engineering. Like, I'd love working with artists in that way. And that's like, although you said that I co-produced your tracks, I did more engineering than I did producing. So that's I love engineering, and I'd love to be able to do that. But really, I don't have any solid plans. Like, I think, especially with the way things are now, it's impossible to see what the future of music is going to be. So it's hard to find my place in that future.
And before I swing into copper, I have two quick questions for you.
I'll swing back by.
It's like, oh, you relax now, big country man. So, will you be trying to get into gigs when gigs begin to come back? And if you could collab with one person, who would it be? And
Well,
why?
I am going. I've already got a gig booked.
Ooh.
Before. Oh no, I'm going to a gig. I bought tickets to a concert. I'm going to see Slow Tie. Woo woo. But no, like, I think I might do some gigs. But as we were saying before, I don't know how to translate my music to the live stage yet, and that's something that I need to figure out before I even try. Because I don't want it to sound bad. But then when we go on to, like, who would I love to collaborate with, like Tyler, the Creator. So I'm going into hip hop for my collaboration, but I'd love to, like, get him on a song, or even, like, write with him, produce with him, just work with him. I'd love that. Quite high, like, goal, really. But that's sort of where my music goals are. My music goals aren't sell out arenas, sell out stadiums. It's work with anybody that I want. Anybody that I listen to their music and I like it, that I can, like, work with them, and that I'd be in a position to reach out to them even. Because, like, at the minute, I'm not in a position where I could even remotely get him to hear me. So I think that's sort of a goal of my music, to be able to get it so I can at least get my manager to talk to their manager about the possibility of a collab.
Get your people talk to his people.
Yeah.
So now we'll swing around to the second best host on the podcast.
Is that yourself, is it?
No, you're quick. Do you see I put that up on Instagram?
I did.
Everyone liked that. They were like, they were like, very true. I don't be seeing Fionn, but it was like, we were doing a live stream on Jeff's place, and the cover played before me, and I was like, I
actually saw it.
There you go.
Not the live stream. I don't watch live streams. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't do anything.
Well,
all I do is just sit at home and make wine.
Yeah, you're mad into the wine making. But
got 50 litres in the brew.
50. Jeez, might take a spin up to you. So
yeah, I'm on my way as well. Collect me on the way.
They won't be ready until Christmas.
Oh, okay.
It takes 6 months.
Christmas it is.
To, like, age. Yeah.
I've written it down.
But
in the
anyway,
comments.
sorry, I interjected. You can go back
We
to
only,
your little
we
merry
only talking
chats.
about this. It's so much easier to do this if you were doing it live because like there's not a weird latency and like audio cuts when like two people are talking. You know, it's a bit more fluid. When you're doing it in person, more so than being like, okay, I'll
Yeah. You can get the
but
cues off a person. You can kind of tell they're about to talk, and you can kind of
yeah,
make allowances that way and stuff. It's a bit easier that way if you're doing it in person. Yeah.
I think like
That's something that
There we go.
yeah, that's something that I found.
Good example right there.
Even when we're in college and we were having one-on-one meetings with our lecturers, it's really hard to tell when somebody's finished speaking online, because although you're seeing their thing, like if you look at my camera, I'm very laggy. Like, what are my why are my hands so
What do I do
blurry?
with my hands?
What are my hands?
what do I do with
But,
my
like,
hands?
it's so hard to read people when you're just looking at a screen. So it is harder to have a normal human conversation through screens.
Very true.
We'll get there eventually. We'll be all in the room and we'll have a proper roundtable discussion on whatever.
And we'd be drinking wine.
Fucking 50 litres of it, so we will.
50 fucking litres. Days. We'll need a big cup. But tell me, Copper. 3 questions. What's the plan for Mr. Copper
Jesus,
Big
you forgot
Penis
my name,
Kelly?
Fionn.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a cool nickname. We just said Copper Big Willie Kelly. Right? What's the plan for 5 years' time? What are you gonna go? What's the plan on going back gigging? Because I know you were using backing tracks and you were working with a band as well. And who would you like to collab with?
Yeah, I suppose the plan is, I want to get gigging. Like, I'm working a day job. Basically, I want to get to the point where I don't have to work a day job anymore and I'm making some sort of a living from music, be that from playing gigs, maybe 2 or 3 a week if I can. I'll get a van and I'll live in the van and I'll go tour in the country. That's what I want to do, like, so badly.
I like that.
But then at the same time, I think me making my music and getting that out there and getting, it's the sound that I can create that could hopefully get people to want to work with me to produce them and record them and mix them and all that kind of thing. So that's the kind of the second, job or second, avenue from me doing this music. I want to end up being a producer or a sound engineer full time. And if I can make music and play a few gigs at the same time, then happy days. And like podcasting as well, I love doing this. So if we can get to this stage where it becomes somewhat popular, we can take it on the road and do some live, like an Old Soul Collective podcast where you could have the 3 of us sitting here at a table on stage, talking, and then have a set of us playing our songs, that kind of stuff.
Along with our other multi-talented individuals in the collective.
Exactly,
and we have like intermissions, so we can like plan it out, the talk, maybe a Q&A in the middle. Maybe we talk about one topic, another, and we have intermission. But the intermissions are gigs.
Yeah.
So we're like revolutionizing, you know what I mean? We're like,
that's it. And I want to get into production music as well. And basically I want to try to create a whole host of revenue streams. That's the way I look at it. Try to make a lot of, say, passive revenue streams. So say when I put out a single, hopefully that sit there and get streams and generate some sort of money in the background while I'm working on this other project. And then when that's done, that can be put out and generate music or generate money while I'm working on this other project, and keep going and have little streams of revenue coming in to kind of keep me going, so I can work on bigger and better projects eventually, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I suppose in terms of gigging, like before the lockdown, I was only really getting started gigging. I kind of approached the whole getting out there awkwardly. I kind of sat down and I recorded my songs and did an album and put it out and got onto the radio. And then I wanted to try to get gigs off the back of the album. Whereas the usual way of doing it is getting out there, doing gigs for years and years, then recording, and then, that kind of thing, where I kind of did it backwards. But maybe I'm a little bit better off for that, because I was only really getting started to get gigs, and then the lockdown happened anyway. But I'm in this position where I can keep recording myself, and I have pretty much an album recorded. I just have to go and edit it and mix it and add to it and so on. But when I'm gigging, I have a position where I can just do myself and backing tracks. So I have the backing track, and then I'm singing, playing acoustic guitar to it as well. But yeah, I could get a band together and hopefully get out and do it. Like, eventually I do want a full live band, fiddle player, bassist, drummer, other guitarists, backing singers, fucking string quartet, go all out. That's my goal, I think big, I suppose. But it's logistically very difficult. And especially if you're only getting a gig and you're being paid maybe 150 quid for the gig, you can't really bring a whole 5-piece band. So I suppose in that case, you kind of have to go the backing track route yourself and backing tracks in order to create as big a sound as you can, with the means that you have. So,
you have a good point there, because if you get paid 100 quid and you hire someone else, your revenue is sliced in half.
Gone, yeah.
And then if you get a third person, you're only getting 1/3, and then you get 1/4, and it's like, it's really and it's fun playing with other people. I think
it's not very
I think the thing in the States at the moment that a lot of I would know a few in the States I would play, and they would do this thing where they would be artists that they would write together, but there's solo artists as well, and they would they travel in a van, they travel around together. But what they do is they would book themselves separately, so they would pitch it to a bar as like a 4-hour show, but it's not a 4-hour. It's I'm gonna play for 2 hours, and then my colleague or my old soul member will play for 2 hours.
My business associate.
There you go. So you're paid separate. You get paid, and then it might even be a bandmate and you're jamming, but they have their own song, you have their own song. And this is the thing I've noticed in honky tonk and dive bars, where there'll be a night of music, but it'll just be basically 2 hours of two different people, and they travel together and they book the same shows together, and the two separate acts that maybe one plays one night supporting the other person, and then the next night they flip it over, and and it's sometimes they'll play together, sometimes they won't. So I think that could be a cool little approach financially, to a way to win and to trick the bars, to actually paying for two acts, when it's just, if they offered you the single pay, you'd probably be like, well, thank you, sir, but can I have some more?
More.
More.
But what's your 5-year plan, Keenan?
Who are you collabing with?
Oh, who am I collabing with? I would say Sturgill Simpson or Chris Stapleton. They'd be probably the two ones I'd want to collab with anyway. Oh, did you watch that film I suggested last week, The Dead Don't Die? Did you watch it after?
I didn't, but I will tonight. See, if I don't do it on the night of, I forget.
Yeah.
And I even posted about it. No, I will do it tonight, because I'm in work early in the morning, so I'm just gonna chill out, watch a film tonight. You said it was on Netflix, so I'll get it up on Netflix there. So
yeah,
be grand, yeah.
But what's your 5-year plan?
I think personally for me, I have a couple of songs sitting in the bank, and I have a load of material that's very folky. A lot of stuff that's very folky, and because we talked about this last week, remember? A lot of some stuff we're recording now might be written at a different time with a different image and different sound. So my plan is to maybe build up some sort of circuit where I'm traveling around small towns in Ireland where they might not have a lot of traffic in terms of new artists, and they pay well, a lot better than they will in Dublin. Travel around there, maybe do a little in our country tour, every maybe 2 months or whatever, do a 3-week ring of like small
The
towns.
world tour of Ireland, yeah.
World tour of Ireland, there you go. And obviously I was working in Temple Bar before this, in the pubs. So if that came back, that would be great. But I don't know, I feel like I had that gig in Montana booked, and I was in my head, it was like my breakthrough into the States.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer like one or two people that know, like Isaac from the Collective, and he will show them my music. Like now I'm playing at a festival in America, and I'm over there for probably maybe a month. So I'll, don't tell Mr. Taxman, but I'll book a couple of shows while I'm over there. And
don't tell the IRS.
Don't tell them, because they'll come looking. Do you have a visa for that? But that's the plan. I think, and of course, like I don't know. I think I'm trying to be a bit more namaste with everything as well. I'm trying to pull back and not worry too much about like the logistics of it, and just try to, like, when I'm on stage, trying to enjoy the moment. Because like I think, you talk about like setting up, and it takes you an hour to get there, and you set up and you're waiting, and then you play, and after you get off stage, you're like, oh shit, I played. Like you didn't even enjoy it because your brain was so wired on like getting everything in, setting up.
Yeah. Is that light blinking over there? Is this cable going to crap out on me?
Instead of just going in and going, I'm gonna put my heart and soul in this, and I'm going to enjoy it. And as I always say, there's enough fuckers in the world, and no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone that likes what you're doing or respects what you're doing. So yeah, that's my plan, I think.
Who would you collab with then?
Who would I collab with?
Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor, the Witch Doctor.
That would be beautiful. Actually, collabing with Sinead O'Connor would be incredible. She is such an amazing vocalist.
Actually, I think Enya would be a good one as well. Enya. I started listening to Enya recently. It's fucking lovely music. She gets a bad rap for, for whatever reason, but... If I say I couldn't... And you said you can't sing, Fionn. What the fuck?
Encore! Encore!
Actually, did I even start singing an Enya song there?
You did,
yeah. Okay, yeah. Sail away, sail away, sail away. Yeah. Oh God! I shouldn't be doing that without Autotune.
I can add it later if you want. But geez, yeah. I suppose we've been chatting for a good hour and a half there now. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap her up, Keenan?
No, I think you and me should collab sometime. We'll have to collab on something.
Sure, we have, and you haven't put it out yet.
Well, yeah, that's true. But we'll collab on something. Yeah, that's right too.
I
was waiting for a particular starts with an I, ends in a C, Isaac, and he fucking still hasn't sent me over fucking vocal stems. No, but I mean, like, write something. I think it'd be cool, maybe when we meet up, we write something, because there's a lot of like small artists I'd love to collab with and shit, but not even like, I think stereotypically, I'd love to collab with Towns Van Zandt, like Johnny Cash, but it's like, I don't know, I think like...
Did you just name two dead people?
Yeah, there you go. And you'll be dead in a sec if you don't shut the fuck up. Right. Joe Danny Rose.
No.
He's be friends with Isaac and stuff. He's always sharing shit. He's like from Australia. You know that song I put up on TikTok, You Can't Turn Me Down?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Danny Rose, but like he's unreal. He's like a proper like Bob Dylan type fella. Like he's fucking good. But yeah, in terms of what can we touch on, I think we have everything. I think we nailed it. I think Fionn, it was lovely to have you. You were incredible. You know what I mean? It was very nice to chat to you.
But I won't be invited back.
No, you're done. You're out of the collect. We're gonna Alt-Shift delete,
I suppose I bet there's tons of stuff we can talk about again, so you're welcome back anytime. I think we spent most of this hour and a half talking about Autotune, so we can
we did spend a lot on
Autotune next time.
But that's it. And I think, Fionn, I always appreciate your insight on the industry. You always have quite a keen eye to the stuff. So thank you, and we'll definitely get you back. Copper, don't really know what to say to you, so I won't.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh,
We're sick of talking to each other at this stage.
But you're great. You were great in the live stream the other day. I really enjoyed it. I like the Johnny Cash look you had going on.
Sounds.
And I don't mean that as like an insult.
No,
Because I can tell you're hesitant about the compliment because you're waiting for something. You're waiting for me to just become Dublin and just say something. But you look like a prick. Like, I'm not gonna say that. Like, you, it was cool. It was like me, like nice Man in Black shit. I liked it.
but you knocked it out of the park yourself. We're on this Jeff Pulver show live stream, and we were both asked to play it, and we realized, hey, are you playing on that night? Yeah, I'm playing too. Cool.
Cool.
So I played first at 7:00, but then poor Keenan had to wait till like 9.
Quarter to 9.
Quarter to 9 to play. But you knocked it out of the park, and you were telling your story while you were singing your song, and you were cursing, and you shocked the Yanks, and it was great.
Yeah, because it was funny because I was like, I had one too many vodka and orange juices, and like you could tell when I said that, you could see Jeff's face. He was like, "Can you still play?" Like, you know, and I was like, "Yeah, fucking Brad, show him off and drank more and fucking done handstands, don't mind, you know." But you know, and I did shock them. What did I kept saying? Bob, I was just saying fuck all the time, wasn't I?
No, even your lyrics in your song is like, if you want to talk like an artist, you can go fuck off or something.
Yeah.
So I can't remember exactly
And
what he said. And I can see everyone going, oh, Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. Cover the children's Christian ears.
When someone think of the children.
Think of the children. This awful folk singer. But, yeah, we've been babbling on.
I'd actually like to add, I think it's amazing
your
that we
ad
managed to
is
speak
denied.
for this. We've managed to speak for this length of time without bringing up the fact that Wexford and Dublin played a football match today.
Did they?
Did they?
They did.
Who won?
And there was, I think it's pretty obvious who won a football match between Wexford and
Wexford
Dublin.
was so great stuff. Man.
I don't know what's funnier and more irritating for you guys. The fact that you lost or the fact that like no one in Dublin gives a shit. But we always just go, oh, we won. Oh, cool.
We're the best.
You know, anytime we win an All Ireland, like there's like a 0.1% of people that go, woo, and everyone else just goes, oh, I guess we can go to the pub for a reason. And that's it. No one gives a bollock. But when yous win it, he's like, look at me, I might kiss me cousin or something. I don't know what you do down there.
We were dancing in the crossroads.
Heading the punching in the parterre.
Was that you looked skeptical. Was there like fights at it or something? Or was it?
Oh no, we just got hammered.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Go sports team.
Woo! The ball's on the foot.
That's why I always talk about American football. They rarely kick it. Why do they call it football? They should call it hand egg, because they hold their hand all the time. It looks more like an egg. That makes more sense.
It did. It did arrive or derive from the same, like, soccer and American football were at one point the same sport. Then just the way the rules were implemented, it's split off differently.
Here, was football originated? Like, did I just read a fake, like, history fact? Or did football originate from, like, tribes kicking severed heads around?
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was heads. It was derived from, like, pigs' bladders or pigs, whatever, pigs' bellies. I don't know what it is. Pig stomachs.
Bladders, I think. Yeah.
Kicking it between towns. There's like the entire.
Oh yeah.
It would be two
fields
towns
and fields.
And for like 3 miles this match would go, and whoever, like, it starts in the middle of the two towns and they have to try and get to the other town, but like everything went, like, there was broken bones, there was deaths, there was everything.
Yeah.
It was just savagery.
That sounds like so much crack to watch.
And then that's how, like, as rules were put into place, it changed from football to soccer to Gaelic football, to rugby, to American football. Just the rules were set up in different little ways.
Anyway, before we get into it, become a sports podcast, I think we've covered a good lot today. And but Fionn, tell the people where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can hear your new song that's about to drop.
You can. I'm pretty much only available on Instagram. So Fionn_Griffin is how you reach me. And then you get the links to my Spotify there. You can pre-save my song there, which is coming out Friday, 9th of July. And you can also find me on Spotify to stream my one and only song on there, Give Me a Break. And that's how you find
And you also have a YouTube channel as well.
I do have a YouTube channel. There's actually more music on the YouTube channel.
There's a banger of a banger of a song on the YouTube channel called Born in Buildings that I fucking love. So yeah.
Bit depressing, but it's a good listen.
That's it.
I'm all about the depression.
So if everyone listen now and go follow Fionn in all those different places and help him out, and we all help each other out.
And pre-save. Pre-save is very important. It does wonders for artists. So don't be slack. Pre-save and shave your back. There you go. There's a little rhyme for you.
That's a new one.
There you go. Well, tell them where they can find you, big man. Mr. COPPE.
Oh, you're talking to me again. Gee, you might go with the flattering this evening.
I'm going from like slagging you to like I don't know. I mean, emotions are quite bipolar tonight.
Make your mind up, for God's sake. But you can find me on Copper Kelly Music on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, on YouTube, on Spotify, iTunes, all those good places you can get music. And I'm on TikTok as well, but I don't be as active on it. But
we might start dancing.
We do a few dances, yeah. We do a bit of twerking. Yeah. You like to see that, Keenan, yeah?
Twerking. Yeah, even the we'll do a bit of twerking.
Do a bit of twerking, sir.
Twerking.
And where can they find you, Keenan? You lovely little fella, yeah.
You can find me on Keenan Flannery, Kenan, like Keenan and Kel, and Flannery, like
Keenan and Kelly.
Keenan and Kelly. That was funny when Dylan said that. How's it going, Keenan and Kelly? But you can find me on all the usual places. Keenan Flannery Music on Facebook and on Instagram. It's at Flannery at Keenan _ If you look up Keenan Flannery on Twitter, you'll find me. I feel like there's not many Keenan Flannery, so it's grand. I'm following on Twitter because I have like fucking 30 followers and I want to be like Twitter.
Tell them how to spell your name because you spell your name weirdly.
I literally just did. So zone back in, Mr. Fionn, right? Pay attention, class is still in session. So yeah, I'm on Spotify. Tell them how to spell my name, Fionn.
Kenan. There
you go.
Keenan. Then Flannery is like Mick Flannery. So just look up Mick Flannery, then delete Mick's name and put Keenan in there instead.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. And I'm not related to Mick Flannery. Well, yeah, you can find me on all the fun places. Head over to the Arts of the Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, not Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And if you want to hear, if you're like, oh, but I can't remember all of them names. What am I going to do?
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Zebedee! Get down from the tree. So head over to the Old Soul Collective on Facebook or on Instagram or on fucking YouTube. Because if you go up to the little banner on the right, there's a load of links there. And you will find a link tree for me, for Copper, for Fionn, for Dylan. That was on, was it last? No, it wasn't last week. It was the week before. Yeah. You can find Isaac, which is another member. Tilly, Kit, Shauna, Lizzie, yeah. Shauna, can we forget him? That's everyone, yeah.
I'd be in her good book, so
it's like, I like you now. So If you're a simple man like Fionn and you're having trouble remembering, just head over to the Old Soul, sorry, Fionn, the Old Soul Collective, and you can find like stuff, you know, and anyone that's releasing stuff, it will be put up there. You know, so you keep in the little gang. So yeah, enjoy.
That's all.
Be in touch with us. And yeah, thanks a million, Copper and Fionn. It's absolutely
Thank you,
been a
Keenan.
pleasure.
And thank you, Fionn.
Absolutely, you don't need to thank me for anything.
But that's it. Thanks very much for listening. If you're listening this far, fair play. And we will see you again next week. Adios and goodbye.
Adios. Slán a bhaile.